There are two types of lasting power of attorney, otherwise known as LPAs. The first sort of LPA is an LPA for property and financial affairs. The second type of LPA is an LPA for health and welfare. LPAs for property and financial affairs replaced enduring powers of attorney on the 1st of October 2007. They are what most people consider when they consider the phrase LPA. What an LPA for property and financial affairs does is it allows you to appoint another person or persons to make decisions about your property and finances in the event that you are unable to do so. This would include things such as making decisions about your house, your pension and your investments. The second type of LPA, the LPA for health and welfare, would allow you to appoint another person or persons to make decisions about your health and your welfare. This would include more personal decisions such as where you should live, what you should wear, and whether or not you should receive life-sustaining treatment. The main difference between the two lasting powers of attorney, apart from the items that they cover, is that an LPA for health and welfare can only be used once it is registered with the Office of the Public Guardian, which is the government body that is responsible for monitoring LPAs, and if you've lost your mental capacity. This means that your attorneys can only make decisions about your health and your welfare if you cannot make them for yourself. If you compare this with an LPA for property and finances, an LPA for property and finances comes into place as soon as it is registered with the Office of the Public Guardian. This means it can be used even whilst you retain the mental capacity to make decisions for yourself about such things as your banking and your finances. Whilst this might seem slightly odd in the first instance, it actually can be very useful because it means your attorneys can make decisions with you if you have lost your physical capacity, such as, for example, you're in hospital for a while or you're abroad for a while, which means that it can be very useful as a coping mechanism to be put in place in those sorts of circumstances. Making a lasting power of attorney is a relatively simple and straightforward process. When you're making one, you need to think about 3 separate roles, and I'll explain them all now. Firstly, and foremostly, you need to think about who you wish to appoint as your attorney. You need to really trust the person you appoint as your attorney, and you shouldn't feel under any pressure to appoint a particular person or relative. If you do not wish to appoint a relative, you can appoint a professional, such as an accountant or a solicitor, who can act as your attorney. You can appoint up to 4 attorneys. However, most people usually only appoint 1 or 2 for practical reasons. Equally, you can appoint a replacement attorney who can act in the event that your attorney is unable to act himself. If you are appointing more than 1 attorney, you can appoint them to act jointly, which means that they have to make all decisions together, or jointly and severally, which means that they are each able to act independently and make decisions on their own. The second sort of person you need to consider is someone called a notified person. Whilst this might sound like a strange phrase, all it means is you need to tell somebody that you're making a lasting power of attorney. That person needs to be someone other than the attorney. It can be an old friend or a relative, as long as it's somebody that's not the attorney that you're telling that you're making this lasting power of attorney. The third person is someone called a certificate provider. Again, this sounds like a strange phrase, but it is the government's way of making sure that you are able and free to make independent decisions about who you wish to appoint as your attorney. Usually, a solicitor or a medical professional will act as your certificate provider. They simply have to confirm that they have discussed the nature and the effect of making a lasting power of attorney with you, and that you fully understand what you're doing by making one. If you were to come and see us to make a lasting power of attorney, the process is very straightforward. We would sit down with you for about an hour, discuss your options, discuss who you would like to have as your attorney, your notified person and your certificate provider, and take the details of those persons. We would then draft up the paperwork and send it out to you for you to check through. If you're happy with all the papers, we are more than happy just to have you pop back in and we'll witness you signing the lasting power of attorney papers, and then we'll send them off to the Office of the Public Guardian for registration. The whole process tends to take about 3 months because once the Office of the Public Guardian receives the paperwork, they are obliged to wait a period of 4 weeks before processing the papers in order that your notified person has a chance to object to the lasting power of attorney being registered if they think it's appropriate to do so. They'll only be able to object on very limited grounds, such as they think you're being unduly influenced into making this lasting power of attorney. The cost of making a lasting power of attorney is not large. It is £550 for one type of power of attorney, or £900 for 2 types of lasting power of attorney. In addition to this, the Office of the Public Guardian charges a fee of £110 per lasting power of attorney as a registration fee. This is not only a registration fee, but it covers the ongoing monitoring of your attorneys whilst they're acting in the role as your attorney. It is for your own protection. Withy King are experts in making lasting powers of attorney. Our team is highly experienced and diverse. We not only have solicitors, which you would expect, working on our lasting power of attorney team, but we also have a chartered accountant, and this gives us an edge over other firms that might be making lasting powers of attorney. We are nationally ranked as leaders in making lasting powers of attorney in the Chambers Directory, which is a national guide to the top solicitors in this country. We are also members of Action Against Elder Abuse, and we are members of Solicitors for the Elderly, which is a group of solicitors who campaign for elderly rights to be respected. All of the members of the team take their duty to elderly people and to vulnerable members of our society very seriously, and we all engage regularly in regular training, and we are often asked to speak at conferences and to give views to the press on lasting powers of attorney. I, in particular, I'm on the Law Society panel for Wills and Equity, which means that I speak directly to the government about matters concerning lasting powers of attorney and help form government procedure and protocol in this area.